The black ship cut through space without a sound. Inside, Tai sat perfectly still. His gray skin matched the color of his cabin. Only his yellow eyes moved, scanning the message on the screen before him. Target: Dorochem. Crime: stealing from the Galactic Federation. Location: Earth, Seoul, South Korea. Tai's thin lips made a rare smile. In 300 years, he had killed over 300 people. Criminals, warlords, rebels, it didn't matter. If the Galactic Federation wanted someone dead, they called Ta. His people, the Nyx, were the perfect killers. They could see in the dark. They could move without making noise. They could smell fear, and Tai was the best of the Nyx. "Computer, tell me about Earth," Ta said. His voice was soft but sharp, like a knife wrapped in silk. The computer's voice filled the room. Earth, third planet from its sun, mostly water, populated by humans. Technology level, low to mid-range. Humans do not know about alien life. Ta nodded. He had never been to Earth before. New planets always made jobs more interesting. "Show me the target's habits," he said. A video appeared. A fat, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms walked down a street full of humans. But the humans didn't seem scared or surprised. "The target uses a human disguise in public," the computer explained. "He looks like this to human eyes." The video changed to show a normal human man in a business suit. "He visits this place every day," the computer said. The video showed a small shop with a sign, "Jin's Coffee House." Tai studied the place. Small, only one door. Large windows, easy to watch, easy to enter, easy to leave. "Perfect. Prepare landing on Earth," Tai ordered. "I'll need a human disguise too." 6 hours later, Tai's ship entered Earth's atmosphere. It was invisible to Earth's simple tracking systems. He landed in a forest outside Seoul and activated his disguise. His gray skin changed to look like human skin. His yellow eyes turned brown. His long, thin body became shorter and wider. To any human who saw him, he would look like a normal businessman. Tai took human clothes from his ship. A dark suit, white shirt, blue tie. He looked at himself in a mirror. Not bad. He could pass as human. He touched his wrist, activating a hidden weapon. A small silver disc slid into his hand. It looked harmless, but it could kill in 50 different ways. Ta slipped it back under his sleeve, satisfied. Next, he took out a small bag of Earth money called One. His research said he would need it for the coffee shop. From his ship, Ta downloaded a map of Seoul into his brain implant. He knew exactly where to go now. 3 days of watching, then one quick kill, then back to space. Simple. Ta locked his ship and walked toward the city. The air felt heavy and wet. The smells were strong. Food, cars, too many humans in one place. He would get used to it. In the busy streets of Seoul, no one looked twice at him. Just another businessman. Perfect. Tai always disappeared into crowds. It was part of what made him deadly. He found the coffee shop easily. From across the street, he watched people go in and out. The shop was small but busy. Through the window, he could see humans drinking from cups, talking, looking at devices. Tai checked the time. 3:30 p.m. local time. According to his information, the target would arrive at 4:00 p.m. He straightened his tie and crossed the street. Time to begin the mission. 3 days of watching, then the kill. Tai pushed open the door to Jin's coffee house. A small bell rang above him. He didn't know it yet, but his life was about to change forever. The coffee shop was warm and loud. Ta stood just inside the door, his enhanced senses working overtime. The smell of roasted beans hit him first, strong and rich. Then came other smells, sweet milk, human sweat, and something warm and sugary he couldn't name. Humans sat at small tables, talking and looking at screens. Some waited in a line that led to a counter. Behind the counter stood a human female with short black hair. She moved quickly, making drinks and taking money. Tai joined the line. He watched everything with careful eyes. The exit door in the back, the windows that could break, the cameras in the corners, old habits of a killer. When it was his turn, he stepped up to the counter. The human female looked at him and smiled. "Welcome. First time here?" she asked. Ta nodded. Her name tag said Jin. So this was Jin's coffee house. She owned it. "What can I get you?" Jin asked. Ta hadn't planned for this question. He knew nothing about earth drinks. "I don't know," he said, keeping his voice flat. Jin smiled again. Her teeth were white and even. "New to coffee? Let me help. Something mild for a first-timer." She turned to make a drink. Ta washed her hands. Quick, sure movements. In his world, such hands would hold weapons. Here, they held cups and spoons. "Here," Jin said, pushing a cup toward him. "A vanilla latte. Not too strong, a little sweet." Tide reached for his money. His fingers brushed against Jin's as he paid. A strange feeling ran up his arm. Not danger. Something else. Something new. He took the cup to a table near the window. From here, he could see the door and watch for his target. He lifted the cup to his lips. The taste surprised him. Hot, but not burning. Sweet, but not too sweet. Rich and smooth. In 300 years, Ta had eaten only for survival. This was different. He took another sip, and another. Soon, the cup was empty. At exactly 4:00 p.m., the door opened. Tai tensed. It was his target. Doro Kem in his human disguise. The criminal looked like a normal businessman to everyone else, but Tai could see tiny signs of his true form. The way he moved his shoulders as if missing his other arms, the slight blue tint at his hairline. Doro Kem got in line. Tai should be watching him, planning the best way to kill. Instead, he found himself watching Jin. She greeted Doro with the same smile she had given Ta. She remembered his order without being told. When she handed him his cup, Doro smiled back at her. A killer shouldn't care about this, but Tai couldn't look away. Jin treated everyone the same, old humans, young humans, even the disguised alien criminal. Each person got her full attention, if only for a moment. Each got a real smile. In Ta's world, people were targets or they were nothing. Here, each person seemed to matter. Doro took his coffee to a table and opened a computer. This was a perfect chance to learn his habits. But Ta kept looking back at Jin. She caught him watching and waved. Tai froze. No one ever noticed him when he didn't want to be noticed. He lifted his empty cup awkwardly. Jin came to his table. "Want another?" she asked. "Yes," Ta said, surprising himself. "I'll bring it over," she said. "I think you'll be a regular soon." As she walked away, Ta felt something strange in his chest, something he had never felt before. Doro was right there. The mission was right there. But for the first time in 300 years, Tai wasn't thinking about killing. He was thinking about coffee and about Jin's smile. And that was very, very dangerous. The next morning, Tai woke up in his ship. He had slept poorly. Dreams of coffee and smiles had filled his head. This was not normal. Not for him. Focus on the mission, he told himself. His plan was to watch the target for one more day. Learn his habits. Then strike on the third day. But Ta found himself walking to Jin's coffee house 2 hours earlier than needed. He told himself it was for better surveillance. Deep down, he knew this was a lie. The shop was less busy this morning. Jin looked up when the bell rang. Her face lit up with a smile. "Good morning, mister." She waited for his name. "Ta," he said before thinking. He should have used a fake name. A rookie mistake. Dangerous. "Ta," Jin repeated. "Welcome back. What can I get you today?" "The same as yesterday," he said. Jin shook her head. No, no. You're ready for something new. Trust me. Trust her. Ta hadn't trusted anyone in centuries. Yet he nodded. Jin made him a new drink. This one had a picture drawn in the foam on top. A leaf pattern. Ta stared at it. Art in a drink. Why? It's a latte with hazelnut, Jin explained. Try it while it's hot. Ta sat at the same table as yesterday. The drink was different. Nuttier. Richer. He finished it quickly. Jin came to his table during a quiet moment. She sat down across from him. This was not in Ta's plan. Assassins worked alone. Always. So, Ta, what brings you to Seoul? She asked. Ta had a cover story ready. Business. Short visit. What kind of business? I remove problems for people. Not a lie, exactly. Jin laughed. Like a consultant. My cousin does that. She helps companies fire people nicely. Ta nodded. Similar. Except he didn't fire people. He ended them. Where are you from? Jin asked. Your accent is interesting. Far away, Ta said. Too vague. Suspicious. He added, Northern Europe. His research said humans rarely question that region. Jin's eyes lit up. I've always wanted to visit Europe. Is it beautiful there? Ta thought of his home world. The eternal twilight. The gray cities built for function, not beauty. It is different, he said. Different is good, Jin said. It's why I love this job. I meet people from everywhere. A customer called for Jin. She stood up. Try the pastries next time, she said. The sweet ones are my favorite. As she walked away, Ta felt that strange feeling again. Like his chest was too tight. Right on time, Doro Kem entered the shop. Ta forced himself to focus. The target sat at the same table as yesterday. He ordered the same drink. He used his computer for exactly 47 minutes. Then he left. Perfect pattern. Easy to predict. Easy to plan around. The kill would be simple tomorrow. But as Tai watched Jin work, he had a troubling thought. After he killed Doro, he would have to leave Earth immediately. He would never have coffee here again. Never see Jin again. This shouldn't matter to him. But it did. Tai stayed at the coffee shop all day. He tried 3 more drinks. He ate a pastry, sweet and flaky. He watched Jin talk to customers, laugh with her workers, wipe tables, and make art in coffee cups. When closing time came, Tai didn't want to leave. Jin noticed him still sitting there. We're closing, but I'll be here tomorrow, she said with a smile. You can try our special morning blend. I will come back, Ta said, and he meant it. That night, in his ship, Ta looked at his weapon. Tomorrow was kill day, but for the first time ever, the galaxy's deadliest assassin didn't want to complete a mission. He wanted coffee instead. The 3rd day arrived. Today was kill day. Ta had never failed a mission, never hesitated, never questioned. But as he walked to Jin's coffee house, his steps were slow. This time, the shop was full. Ta found a small table in the corner. Jin waved to him from behind the counter. She pointed to a fresh pot of coffee and mouthed, special blend. Ta nodded and watched her work. She moved with speed and grace. Her hands never stopped. She talked to each customer, remembering their names and their usual orders. She smiled and laughed, even when the line was long. People left the shop looking happier than when they entered. This was a power Ta had never seen before. Jin brought him the special coffee. On the house, she said. This meant free, Ta had learned. Thank you, he said. These words felt strange in his mouth. Assassins didn't thank people. Busy day, she said, but I'll come talk when I can. Ta sipped the new coffee. It was rich and complex. It made him think of sunsets, something rare on his home world. He checked the time. Doro Kem would arrive in 20 minutes. Ta touched his wrist, feeling the weapon hidden there. One quick move, and the job would be done. Then back to his ship, away from Earth, Away from coffee. Away from gin. The thought made his chest hurt. A loud voice broke his thoughts. A human male at the counter was yelling at Jin. "This isn't what I ordered," the man shouted. "Are you stupid? I said no sugar." The man's face was red. His hands were fists. He leaned over the counter toward Jin. Without thinking, Ta stood up. His hand went to his weapon. In his world, threats were met with death. But Jin didn't look afraid. She stayed calm. "I'm so sorry about that, sir," she said in a soft voice. "Let me make you a new one right away. And a free pastry for the trouble." The angry man's face changed. His shoulders relaxed. "Well, fine, but get it right this time." "Absolutely," Jin said with a smile. "I appreciate your patience." The man walked away. Calm now. Tai sat down slowly. Jin had stopped a fight without a weapon. Without fear, just with words and a smile. In 300 years of killing, Ta had never seen such power. Jin caught his eye and gave him a small smile before turning to make the new coffee. That smile hit Ta like a punch. It was meant just for him. Not for a customer. For him. The door opened. Dorokem walked in. Right on time. This was the moment. Ta should strike now. Quick and clean. The target was 15 steps away. No one would see the weapon. It would be over in seconds. Doro got his coffee and sat down near the door. The perfect position. The perfect time. Tai didn't move. Jin was laughing with an old woman customer. Her eyes crinkled at the corners. Her hands made shapes in the air as she told a story. The old woman laughed too. Dorokem finished his coffee. He stood up. He was leaving. The chance was slipping away. Still, Ta didn't move. Doro walked out the door. He disappeared down the street. Ta had just failed his first mission in 300 years. Jin came to his table during a break in customers. "Everything okay?" she asked. "You look worried." "I missed something important," Ta said. Jin sat down across from him. "There's always tomorrow," she said. Ta looked at her. Tomorrow. A new word. A new idea. For an assassin, there was only the mission. Now or never. But for a human having coffee, there was always tomorrow. "Yes," Ta said. "Tomorrow." And for the first time in his long, long life, Ta looked forward to tomorrow. That night, Ta sat in his ship, staring at the dark walls. He had never failed before. His handler would be waiting for a report. With heavy fingers, Ta pressed the communication button. A screen lit up. A face appeared. Another Nix, older, with cold eyes. "Report," the handler said. "I need more time," Ta said. The words felt wrong in his mouth. The handler's yellow eyes narrowed. "More time. You? In 300 years, you have never asked for more time. The target is complex," Ta lied. "The location is difficult. I need 3 more days." A long silence followed. Ta could feel sweat on his neck. The handler could order him home. Could send another assassin. 3 days, the handler finally said. "No more." The Federation grows impatient. The screen went dark. Ta let out a breath. 3 more days. 3 more days of coffee. Of Earth. Of Jin. The next morning, Tai was waiting when Jin unlocked the coffee shop door. "Early bird," she said with a smile. "Come in. I'm just setting up." Tada watched her turn on machines, arrange pastries, and wipe counters. This simple work seemed important to her. She cared about doing it well. "Can I help?" Tai asked. The question surprised even him. Assassins didn't help. They took. They ended. They disappeared. Jin looked surprised too. "Sure. Can you put these cups on that shelf?" Ta carefully arranged white cups in neat rows. The work was simple. Nothing like the complex planning of a kill. But it felt good. As customers arrived, Tai sat in his corner. Jin brought him different coffees throughout the day. Each one came with a story. "This one comes from beans grown on a mountain. she said about a dark, rich coffee. This one has spices that sailors brought from far away, she said about a coffee that smelled like stars. Tad listened and learned, not for his mission, just to know. When the shop grew quiet in the afternoon, Jin sat with him again. "You've been here every day this week," she said. "Not that I mind. I like it here," Ta said. "A simple truth. What about your work? You're removing problems." Ta looked down at his cup. "I'm reconsidering a job." Jin nodded as if this made sense. Sometimes what seems like the right job isn't right for us after all. She didn't know how true her words were. Ta had been the perfect assassin. Cold, focused, deadly. Now he wasn't sure what he was. "What do humans do?" Tai asked carefully, "when they aren't sure about their path?" Jin thought for a moment. "We try new things. We ask for help. We look for signs that point us in a better direction. Signs, like a warm shop when space was cold, like a smile in a world of threats, like a drink shared between different beings." "Would you show me more of Earth?" Tai asked suddenly. After closing time, Jin's smile grew wider. "I'd love to. There's a night market nearby. Food, music, lights. It's one of my favorite places." That evening, after Jin closed the shop, they walked together through crowded streets. The night market was full of colors and sounds and smells. Humans laughed and talked. Children ran between stalls. Old people sat watching it all. Jin bought food for them to try. Sweet, spicy, sour, things Ta had never imagined. She pointed out music players and artists and sellers of strange objects. "What do you think?" Jin asked as they walked. Ta looked at the life around him. In all his travels, he had never been part of a place, only a shadow passing through. "It's beautiful," he said, and meant it. Somewhere in the galaxy, his handler was waiting. Somewhere, his target was living another day. Somewhere, his perfect record was broken. And Ta didn't care at all. 2 days had passed since Tai asked for more time. He had 1 day left before his handler would demand results. The deadline hung over him like a dark cloud. Tai sat in the coffee shop, drinking his 6th different coffee of the week. Jin had named it a mocha. It was sweet and rich. Tai liked it very much. His screen beeped softly. A message from the Galactic Federation. Tai opened it carefully, making sure no human could see. The message was simple. "Target has stolen more funds. Now working with other criminals. Elimination is urgent." Ta closed the message. Dorochem was still a criminal. Still hurting people. Still deserving of death by Federation law. But what would Jin think of killing? She who made peace with angry customers. She who created instead of destroyed. She who remembered names instead of counting bodies. The door opened. Dorochem walked in. Ta watched him closely now with new eyes. Doro greeted Jin with a big smile. He gave a large tip. He held the door for an old woman. He seemed kind. But Ta knew appearances could lie. He needed to be sure. When Doro left the shop, Ta followed him. Not to kill, not yet, but to watch, to learn. Doro walked several blocks to a tall building. He entered using a special card. Ta slipped in behind him, invisible as only a Nex could be. In a large room upstairs, Doro met with 3 other aliens, all wearing human disguises. Ta hid in the shadows, listening. "The Federation will never find out," Doro said. "We've taken 10 million credits already." "And the colony worlds?" one alien asked. "Who cares?" Doro laughed. "They're poor. They won't miss a few hospitals and schools." Tai felt something cold inside him. Doro wasn't just stealing money. He was stealing hope from poor worlds, stealing health from sick people, stealing knowledge from children. The meeting continued. Tai recorded everything with a small device in his ear. The crimes were worse than he had known. Doro wasn't just a thief. He was a monster in a friendly mask. Back at his ship, Tai faced a hard choice. His job was to kill Doro. Simple, clean, That's what the Knicks did. But Jin had shown him another way. Humans didn't just destroy problems. Sometimes they fixed them. Tai made a decision. He sent the recording to Earth's police and to the Federation Justice Department. Let them arrest Doro. Let them try him. Let them show mercy or punishment as needed. It wasn't the next way, but it felt right. The next day, Tai returned to the coffee shop. Jin greeted him with a special smile. Not her customer smile. Something warmer. "I saved the last cinnamon roll for you," she said. Tai took the sweet bread. It was still warm. "Thank you," he said. These words came easily to him now. He watched Jin make coffee art. She drew a small star in the foam of a drink. Such a simple thing, creating beauty where there was none before. A strange feeling filled Tai's chest. Not the tightness from before. Something bigger. Something that made him want to protect this place, this human, this world. With shock, Tai realized what was happening. The deadliest assassin in the galaxy was feeling empathy. For a Nyx, this was dangerous. Forbidden. Weakness. For a human, it was strength. The door opened. Todd expected to see Doro. Instead, he saw police officers. They went straight to Doro's usual table and waited. Tai's message had worked. Doro would be caught. Not killed, but stopped. It was enough. Jin noticed his stare. "Are you okay?" she asked. "You look different today." "I am different," Ta said. And it was the most honest thing he had ever said. What he didn't know was that the Galactic Federation had noticed this difference too. And they had already sent someone to deal with it. The police took Doro away. He fought and yelled, but it didn't help. Jin watched with wide eyes as they put him in a police car. "What happened?" she asked when she returned to the shop. "He was a bad man," Ta said simply. "He stole money from people who needed it." Jin looked at Ta closely. "How do you know that?" Ta looked down at his coffee. He had never told the truth about himself to anyone. But Jin wasn't just anyone. Before he could answer, he felt something. A cold feeling on the back of his neck. A feeling all Nyx assassins knew well. He was being watched. Ta looked out the window. Across the street stood a figure in a long coat. To human eyes, the figure looked normal. But Tai could see the truth. Yellow eyes hidden behind dark glasses. Gray skin covered by a human mask. Another Nyx assassin. Ta knew what this meant. The Federation had not accepted his new way of handling Doro. They had sent another assassin. Not for Doro, but for Tai. When a Nyx failed a mission, there was only one punishment. Death. "Jin," Ta said quickly. "When do you close today?" "In an hour." "Why?" "I need to talk to you. Somewhere private." Jin looked surprised but nodded. "We can go to my apartment upstairs. I live above the shop." The next hour was the longest of Ta's life. He pretended to read a newspaper while watching the other Nyx. The assassin didn't move, didn't enter the shop. Just waited. Watching. Planning. When the last customer left, Jin locked the door. "Come on," she said, leading Todd to a back door. Stairs went up to a small apartment. The room was simple but cozy. Pictures hung on the walls. Soft chairs sat around a low table. It smelled like coffee and flowers and gin. "So," Jin said, sitting down. "What's going on? You look worried." Tai took a deep breath. "I need to tell you something. You won't believe it, but I need you to try." Jin waited, her dark eyes patient. "I am not human," Ta said. The words hung in the air between them. Jin didn't laugh, didn't run. She just looked at him carefully. "What are you then?" "I am Nyx. From a world far from here. I was sent to kill Doro. He is not human either." Ta expected fear, anger, disbelief. Instead, Jin just nodded slowly. "Show me," she said. Tai touched his wrist, deactivating his human disguise. His skin turned gray, his eyes yellow, his body taller, thinner. Jin gasped but didn't scream. She stood up and came closer, looking at his real face. "Are you afraid?" Tai asked. "A little," Jin admitted. "But you've had coffee with me every day. If you wanted to hurt me, you would have done it already." Her logic was simple but true. Ta felt relief wash over him. "There's more," he said. "I was sent to kill Doro. But I chose not to. I reported him instead. This is not allowed. My people have sent another assassin to kill me for failing." Jin's eyes went wide. "Someone is trying to kill you. Right now." Ta nodded. "He is across the street, waiting." Jin walked to her window and peeked out. "The man in the long coat." "Yes, though he is not a man." Jin turned back to Tai, her face serious. "What can we do?" "We?" Tai asked, surprised. "Yes, we," Jin said firmly. "You're my friend, Ta, human or not. I don't let my friends face dangerous things alone." Friend. The word hit Ta like a physical blow. In 300 years, no one had ever called him friend. "You would help me, even knowing what I am. What I was sent to do." Jin smiled. "Everyone deserves a second chance," she said. "Even Galaxy-class assassins." Outside, the other Knicks moved closer to the shop. Time was running out. Ta had to make a choice: run and leave Jin behind, or stay and face a killer. For the first time in his life, the choice was easy. "Stay here," Ta told Jin. "Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me." Jin shook her head. "No, I'm coming with you. It's not safe. He is like me, a killer." "You changed," Jin said. "Maybe he can too." Tai wanted to argue, but there was no time. The other Knicks was moving toward the coffee shop. "Stay behind me," Ta said. He touched his wrist, revealing his weapon, the small silver disc. They went downstairs. Ta positioned Jin in the back corner of the shop, away from the windows. Then he waited. The door handle turned. Locked. There was a soft click as something metal touched the lock. Then the door swung open. The other Knicks stepped inside. In the empty shop, he dropped his human disguise. His gray skin glowed in the dim light, his yellow eyes fixed on Ta. "Failure," the Knicks said. His voice was cold and flat. "The Federation has ordered your elimination." "I did not fail," Ta replied. "The target is stopped. He will face justice." The other Knicks took a step forward. "That was not your mission. Your mission was to kill. You showed weakness. Mercy." He said the last word like it was poison. "I found another way," Ta said. "A better way." The Knicks assassin looked past Tai, seeing Jin for the first time. His eyes narrowed. "A human. You revealed yourself to a human." His hand moved to his weapon. "2 eliminations today, then." Ta moved in front of Jin. "No, she is not part of this." The assassin tilted his head. "What has happened to you, Ta? You were the best of us. 300 years, 300 kills. Perfect. Now you protect a human." "I've learned things," Ta said. "About humans. About myself. There are other ways to live." "There is only the mission," the assassin said. "Only duty." In the language of the Knicks, they began a silent conversation. Small movements of fingers, tiny shifts in posture, the raising of an eyebrow. To humans, they would appear almost still. To Knicks, they were negotiating. Ta's fingers said, "Asterisk, let me explain asterisk." The assassin's stance replied, "Asterisk, there is nothing to explain asterisk." Ta's eyes suggested, "Asterisk, there is more to existence than killing asterisk." The assassin's hand position stated, "Asterisk, the Federation does not accept failure asterisk." Their bodies moved slowly around the shop, a deadly dance that humans could not read. Each step was an argument, each gesture a counter. They were seconds away from violence. Jin watched, confused by their stillness, unaware of the complex battle happening before her eyes. Then she did something no Knicks would ever expect. She stepped forward. "Stop," Jin said. "Please." Both Nicks froze. The assassin stared at Jin with cold eyes. "You don't have to do this," Jin said to the assassin. "Ta found a better way. Doro is going to prison. Justice is served. Nobody had to die." The assassin looked at Jin like she was speaking a language he couldn't understand. "Move aside, human," he said. "This is not your concern." "It is my concern," Jin said, and to Ta's horror, she walked right between them. "He's my friend." The assassin raised his weapon. Ta moved faster than human eyes could follow, ready to strike. But Jin didn't flinch. She looked straight into the assassin's yellow eyes. "What's your name?" she asked. The assassin blinked, confused. "What?" "Your name," Jin repeated. "You must have one." "I am Nick's Operative 17, he said. "That's not a name," Jin said. "I'm Jin. This is Ta. What should I call you?" The assassin's hand lowered slightly. In 300 years of killing, no one had ever asked for his name. "Han," he said finally. "Before I was Operative 17, I was called Han." Jin smiled. "Han. Would you like some coffee, Han? Before you decide if you need to kill anyone today." Han looked at Jin, then at Ta, his face showing confusion, an emotion no Nick's assassin was supposed to feel. And that small moment of uncertainty changed everything. 3 days later, Tai sat at his usual corner table in Jin's coffee shop. Across from him sat Han, still wearing his human disguise, holding a cup of coffee with uncertain hands. "What do you think?" Jin asked, watching Han take his first sip. "It's complex," Han said. His voice had changed in 3 days. Less cold, more curious. Ta smiled. He had seen this change in himself. Now he was watching it happen to another Nix. The Earth effect, the human effect, the Jin effect. After that moment when Jin had asked Han's name, everything had shifted. No one had died. Instead, Jin had made coffee. They had talked. Han had listened. Then Han had done something no Nix assassin had ever done. He had asked for time to think. For 3 days, Han had watched Earth, walked its streets, tasted its foods, listened to its music, and most importantly, watched Jin work in her coffee shop. Now they sat together, waiting for a message from the Galactic Federation. Han had reported everything. The truth about Doro, the truth about Ta's choice, the truth about humans. Ta's screen lit up. A message had arrived. Both Nix leaned forward to read it. The Federation Council has reviewed the evidence provided by Operative Ta regarding criminal Doro Chem. The Council accepts the alternative resolution. Elimination is no longer required. A new protocol is established effective immediately. Non-lethal solutions may be considered when appropriate. Operative Ta is assigned as Earth liaison. Operative Han is to return for debriefing. Jin read the message over their shoulders. "What does this mean?" she asked. "It means I can stay," Ta said, hardly believing the words. "It means the Federation sees value in what I learned here." "It means change," Han added. "For the first time in 1,000 years, the Nix are changing." Jin smiled so brightly it seemed to light up the shop. "This calls for celebration. I'm closing early today. We're going on a trip." 2 hours later, Jin's small car climbed a mountain road outside Seoul. Tai and Han sat awkwardly in their seats, their long Nix limbs not made for Earth vehicles. Jin parked at a lookout point. "Come on," she said. "We need to hurry." They followed her to the edge of a cliff. Below them spread the city of Seoul. Above them, the sky was turning pink and orange. "Watch," Jin said, pointing west. The sun was setting. Colors painted the sky in shades no artist could match. Reds and golds and purples stretched across the horizon. The clouds caught fire with light. On the Nix homeworld, there was no sunset, no sunrise, only eternal twilight. Tai and Han stood in silence, watching this simple miracle that happened every day on Earth. "On my world," Han said quietly. This would be celebrated once in a lifetime. Here, it happens daily, and most humans don't even notice. That's the wonder of this place, Ta said. So much beauty, freely given. Jin smiled at them both. There's something new to see every day if you're looking. As darkness fell, lights appeared in the city below. Thousands of them. Millions. Each light was a home, a family, a life. Ta thought about all the worlds he had visited. None had ever felt like this. I must return tomorrow, Han said, but I will request Earth assignment when possible. There's always a place for you at the coffee shop, Jin said. I could use another helper. They laughed together, a human sound that the Necks were learning to enjoy. Later, as they drove back to the city, Ta looked at Jin. In the dark car, she couldn't see his face clearly, but he could see hers perfectly with his Nick's vision. She was nothing special in the galaxy. No powers, no weapons, no advanced technology. Just a human who made coffee and remembered names and cared about strangers. And yet she had accomplished what no weapon could. She had changed the deadliest assassin in the galaxy with nothing but kindness. As they pulled up to the coffee shop, Jin turned to them both. Same time tomorrow, she asked. Yes, Ta said without hesitation. And the day after that. For the first time in his long life, Tai wasn't counting kills or missions or targets. He was counting tomorrows, and he hoped there would be many.